Okay, hi fifth graders. I'm in front of the camera today because my document camera was not really cooperating. And so we're gonna kind of try it this way today. Today we're gonna be reviewing a little bit about two-dimensional figures, which are just polygons. And then we're gonna talk about three-dimensional figures, and then you guys are actually gonna make a cube and present that on Seesaw. So to begin with, two-dimensional figures. A two-dimensional figure is basically what we've been doing so far in math. We've been talking about polygons like squares, rectangles, rhombus, triangle, all that stuff. A two-dimensional figure is flat. It just has a length and a width. So here's my length, there's my width in my square. If I have a rectangle, there's my length, there's my width. Two-dimensional, flat figure, okay? If we were to step it up a notch, we would have a three-dimensional figure, and a three-dimensional figure would be like this cube. And a three-dimensional figure has length, width, and height. So three things. And so if I looked at this, I could see a length here, a width here, and I would have the height here. If I want to see a three-dimensional figure in person, I could look at this. This would be like a cube. And you can see that if I were just to look at this side, this is called the face. And a face is just a flat surface. And if I were to look at this face, I could see that I have a length, I have a width, but then if I turn it on its side, I also have the height. So I have a three-dimensional figure because I have those three things. This is called a cube. And as I showed you before, a face just means a flat surface. And so in a cube, we have 6 flat surfaces. And the special thing about a cube is that they're all the faces are squares. And they're congruent squares, the same exact shape and size. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna count the faces. I'm gonna go around the cube first and then do the top and the bottom. So if I start here, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then 6 at the bottom. Okay, so 6 faces. Another shape that I have that I'm gonna talk about today is called a rectangular prism. Super similar to a cube. The only difference is that the faces are in the shape of a rectangle. So if I were to look at this crayon box right here, you can see that my faces are in the shape of rectangles. And in this rectangular prism, they're not all congruent rectangles, but that's fine. If I were to count these, I would have 6. So I'm gonna count going around first and then do the top and the bottom. So I'm gonna start here at the top. So, in the front. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 6 faces, okay? So that's a rectangular prism. Okay, the main thing for today is this net, okay? A net is just a two-dimensional pattern of a 3D object. So in the Google Slides, you were shared a link to something that looks like this. And in the link, there were 2 of these. One of them has the tabs, that's the one I'm showing, and one of them doesn't have the tabs. For today, you can use whichever one you want. It doesn't really matter. In class, we usually do the ones with the tabs because they're easier to assemble. But you are going to take this net and you are going to color it and you're going to cut it out. And so what we want you to do is to color each of the different faces something different so that they kind of pop out and that they're different faces. And so once you do that, I should back up. If you don't have colored pencils or crayons or anything, then just take your pencil or your pen and make different designs. The point is that each of the 6 different faces will look different because in your mind, you want to like kind of memorize that there's 6 faces in a cube. So if I were to look at this net, which is just a pattern for a cube, I would count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 faces, okay? Then what you will need is some tape, and you're gonna have to you will have to assemble it. Not kind of assemble it, actually assemble it. And so what you're gonna have to do is each of these like black lines, that means you have to fold where those are, and even fold where the little tabs are, okay? So you can take a little piece of tape, and I'll kind of try to hold this up to the camera, but basically you just kind of, see how I did that? And then you just put, and then you just put the tape over there, so it looks like this. And then you kind of just go around and you keep putting the tape. Sorry, it's kind of hard to get it right where the camera is, but yep. Okay. Just bear with me, it just takes a little bit of time. Okay, so there's that one, and I just kind of hold it together, and then I put the tape right there. I got a couple more to do. So, and you can see this little tab, it just kind of goes inside there. And then it's nice because I can kind of hold the tab that's inside the cube as I put the tape on. It just makes it a little bit more secure. And then I have my top. And so I just need to kind of fold those down a little bit, which I actually did before when I was folding them. But anyways, you put the top right here. It's almost like a little present, and then you just put the tape on top like that. Okay, so then, and then I am just going to tape the sides a little bit, because when I did this video before, it kind of fell out. Okay, so now I have my cube. Okay, so this is what your cube should look like. And then on your seesaw video, you're gonna have to talk about the cube and talk about the different attributes. So I have the attributes here for you, and I also have it in the seesaw post. So you're gonna have to point out the 6 faces, okay? So what you're gonna do is you're gonna hold up your cube, and you're gonna just say, this is my cube, and here are my 6 faces. And so what I like to do, just to keep it kind of organized, is I just go around the cube first, and then I do the top and the bottom. So pick whichever side you wanna start with. I'm gonna start with my beach scene, okay? And I'm gonna count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Your 6 faces, okay? Edges. Edges are just where the 2 faces meet. In every single cube, there's 12 edges. So what I like to do is I'm just gonna count the edges on the top, then I'm gonna count the edges on the bottom, and then I'm gonna count the edges on the side. With the cube, it doesn't really matter which one is top or bottom, just kind of hold it in a position where the top and bottom is always gonna be the same. So if I were to count the edges, I would count 1, 2, 3, 4, okay? Now I'm gonna do the bottom, 5, 6, 7, 8, and now I'm gonna do the sides, 9, 10, 11, 12, so 12 edges. And then the last bit are the vertices. And the vertices are where the 3 faces meet. It's kind of like the corners. Just so that you know, one vertex is called a vertex. So this is called a vertex, but if I'm going to talk about more than one vertex, it's going to be vertices. So there's 8 vertices. So I'm just going to hold the cube and just do one side first. So I'm going to count the vertices. 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm going to flip it over and count the other 4. 5, 6, 7, 8 vertices. So that's what you have to do. You just have to, print out the net, decorate it, cut it out, create a cube, go on to Seesaw, and on Seesaw, point out the attributes of the cube. So point out the 6 faces, the 12 edges, and the 8 vertices, okay? So if you have any questions, just let us know, and I'm excited to see what you guys come up with. Oh, one more thing. I also put on the slide other nets for other 3D objects. So if you kind of like this activity and you want to do like a rectangular prism, or you want to try to do like a cone or something like that, there's other nets on the slide just for something extra to do for fun. Okay, have a great day. Bye.